Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into another weekly dose of the rundown. Join in with me as always, my brother from another, my co-host, all the way from the Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
I'm doing good. How you doing today? How you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, man. A lot's been going on, within the world, within the sports world, good and bad, which we are going to go ahead and touch up on all that today. So I hope you guys are ready because we definitely do have an exciting and jam-packed show for y'all. First and foremost, I think I would be reminiscent if I did not bring up the Damar Hamlin situation on Monday Night Football. I saw it live. Kay, I don't know if you had a chance to see it live when it was happening. It was insane. I can speak for everybody when I say we have never seen anything like that before. We've seen guys get bad concussions, bones come out of legs. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff in football and the NFL, but definitely haven't seen something like this before where it is a life or death situation that happened on the football field. So I guess he went into, not that I guess, he went into cardiac arrest on the football field. Just, freak accident, freak situation. Want to give a big shout out to the whole ESPN team for the way that they were able to handle that in real time. They did an amazing job. Booger McFarland, Susie, and Adam Schefter, along with the whole Monday Night Football crew, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. And, I think the NFL, things had came out with, were they going to give them time, like 5 minutes, and then try and play the game again? Or, do the right thing here and just shut down the game. The rumors were out there about that they wanted them to continue to play. They had a 5-minute warm-up period, and then the coaches were the ones that shut it down. Honestly, we really don't know. I was definitely one who had some words, was saying some things, not so great things about the NFL at the time when I was seeing this stuff. I think they did ultimately make the right decision here. Not only to not only to postpone the game, but then to eventually cancel it. What came out is there's a playoff scenario here where the AFC Championship game may be on a neutral field, depending on how Week 18 wraps up. We can get into that a little bit later. But yeah, definitely happy to see that Damar Hamlin is back. He's obviously still in critical condition, I believe heart-wise, but his neurological functions are all there. He's breathing on his own now, woke up, which was awesome to see. And then, the power of people, right? We're saying prayers for Damar and everything. But then also he had that toy drive, which was at $2,600 before the freak accident on the field happened. And once it was shared that he was doing this, they ended up coming up with $7.7 million for this toy drive. So a crazy situation that, still in some ways unfolding, but I think they did the right thing, postponing the game and trying to come up with a situation. And we don't really know what was true about what the NFL was going to do, but I got to applaud the NFL for pretty much doing the right thing here.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can tell, like, after that happened, it would have been hard to kind of for them to continue playing. I think a lot of people on ESPN and just other places touched on it. It's probably like the first time we've seen someone like that kind of fighting for their life on the field. Now we've seen like gruesome injuries and stuff like that. So it'd be tough. I think it would have been tough for any of them to kind of put that in the back of their head and kind of just keep playing, especially not knowing what the kind of the outcome was. So I think it was definitely the right move, no matter who called it or whatever the situation is. I think it would have been tough for them to go back out there. I think even this week might be a little tough for some people to go back out there. I think with the good news that we have gotten over the week, I seen just a little while ago, he put out a statement himself. So I think that makes it a little easier for people to go back to work this week. But in that moment, I think it would have been super tough for those players to go back out there and play and not think about injury.
Yeah, that was like the biggest thing too, is how are you going to make guys go out and play after what they just witnessed, right? There were men on the field that were crying, couldn't compose themselves, had to get taken away because they couldn't compose themselves. And really, what a lot of the former players were saying when they were asked about it was, I can't play because I don't know if my brother is okay. I don't know if he's going to make it through this. So I can't even focus on trying to play with that going on. So to your point, definitely helps that they'll be able to go back and play because he's up, and he actually did do a FaceTime to the team as well to address the team and everything like that. But a scary situation for sure, with a lot of different reactions and things like that. But happy to see that he's okay and moving on. Okay, I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
No, I just following up what you said. Happy to see he's okay. I think it's a little easier to talk about it today than maybe it would have been on like Monday or something. That we kind of obviously he's not 100% healed, and we still don't know exactly what's going to happen. But it seems like things have been getting better as the week has gone on. So that's a great sign, and you just keep praying and hoping that things continue to go up like that.
100%, 100%. Go ahead and get into the New York Jets now, who are in their final week of play with a lot of questions going on and things like that. We got the sixth quarterback change of the season for the Jets. Joe Flacco will start with Zach Wilson backing him up. Mike White has 5 broken ribs now, so he'll be shut down to end the season. And, Robert Salah came out and said that the Jets are sticking with Zach Wilson. They're not going to give up on him and want to bring him to the potential with the skills that he has and the potential that they know he can get to and whatnot. And to be honest with you, I kind of want to applaud him on that, right? I feel like it's year 2, really year 1. He didn't play a lot of his rookie season because he had his own injuries to deal with. But I think it's way too early to say we're done with him after only his second year in the league. And then also, if they were to just move on from him, it would just be like a whole nother look at the Jets, right? Jets doing Jets things again. Point earlier about like, okay, who's at fault here? Because how many quarterbacks have the Jets had? It's just so at some point, where do we put the blame here? But it's good to see that they're willing to stick with him and trying to get him to where they think he can get to. My only complaint with them would be is he said he think he should just do a whole reset and get away from the game of football for a little bit. If I'm a head coach, especially a guy that I took second overall in the draft, I think my biggest thing that I would want to do is have him be angry of what happened this season. That you were benched for a guy that's kind of a journeyman quarterback, and no disrespect, not a star NFL future. That they didn't. Not only did you get benched for him, but they didn't even let you dress. You were on the sign in team gear, street clothes, essentially. So if I was in this situation as a coach, I would want him to be angry and do everything in his power to not have something like that happen again, because it feels like he's kind of running on pin needles at this point. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Maybe Zach Wilson on his own will feel that way, and hopefully for the Jets' sake and his sake, he has a better season. But right now, we don't know.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before. It's still kind of way too early to give up on him. You said about him missing time last season. He's missed time this season too. So, kind of tough situation. Like I said, he came back this year. They were winning. That's probably something that wasn't like thought would be happening at the time. So, I think just because he said he's going to take some time off doesn't necessarily mean that he's not motivated. You hope that he's taking that time off so he can go hard for the rest of the season. It's a long season. It's a grueling season. There's ups, there's downs. So a lot of people do want to take that time off to get your mind right, because you kind of don't want to go straight into things and maybe rush things and maybe end up getting hurt or something because you kind of just overthinking things and going too hard. So you kind of want to let your mind rest after a long, grueling season, let your body rest a little bit. And then you hope that he'll, after getting that rest and getting that time off, just some time to yourself, some time to think, that he finishes his summer going hard. So you hope that he's taking the time off so he can go hard for the rest of the season. For the rest of the summer.
Yeah, 100%. And we all gotta believe too after this season. And obviously, the Jets did a lot better than a lot of people expected. And they were in the playoff race for a lot of the season too. To add on to that, so you got to think after this season, and I again going to getting rid of guys too soon. You got to think that after this season, Robert Salah and the Jets GM are on the hot seat after this season. Now, I don't think that they should move on from either of those two once this season's over. But you definitely do gotta feel like going into next season that these are two people that are on the hot seat, with both of them being in that building for 3, 4 years apiece.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we've talked about it. They might look at it like, hey, we had some good parts of the season and we were winning at some point, so maybe you want to try to build on that and say, hey, maybe we're going in the right direction, tweak a couple things here and there. But yeah, definitely, I think that the Jets haven't been a winner for a little while now. We all know that, so I don't think anybody's job should be safe because the goal is winning. And then if you look at this season, they were winning for a little bit, so it's not that, in a sense you can look at it, we're maybe closer than what we really think because we were right there, and it shows that this team can win. Maybe we just don't have the right coach or the right pieces or the right GMs. So you may think about making some moves, or you say, hey, you guys, started winning. We'll give you guys a chance to add on to this and see if you can build on what you built on this year.
Yeah. If I'm Robert Salah, I'm looking at Mike LaFleur in the job that he's been doing as far as trying to develop his quarterback. And again, my biggest knock on the Jets this season when this whole thing was happening was, when are you going to commit to developing this guy? Because obviously it felt like a Rex Ryan 2011 Jet situation with Mark Sanchez, which is, we have a really good defense and this defense can take us very far. So we're not going to try and develop you as a quarterback. We just want you to be a game manager. And that was almost what it felt like with this situation as well, with a guy that, a lot of people were comparing to Patrick Mahomes going into the season, rather in the draft, when he had first came out in the draft, and him not living up to that potential. So Mike LaFleur, how can you get on your job to make sure that this kid is where we think he can be?
Yeah, definitely. Uh, like I said, I think it's still early. We'll see how this summer goes. I think kind of to what you're saying, this should be a big summer maybe for both of them. See if maybe they could get on the same page, or whatever the case may be. Like I said, there was a lot of injuries for Zach Wilson, so maybe that's something that's like, oh, everyone's looking at it and saying, hey, maybe this is the reason why he hasn't been able to reach his full potential. But you hope that he goes into this summer 100% healthy, 100% motivated, and then you kind of see what maybe you got from there and see what those two guys can kind of build together from there. When you have one full offseason, hopefully season, where like there's no injuries holding you back.
Yeah, maybe they'll take a page out of Daniel Jones' book, who was, I was listening to Jordan Raanan talk about it on his podcast, Breaking Big Blue, where he was saying, check all the boxes for Art, can you be the guy here? And one of those boxes was being healthy in a full season, which he was able to do. So maybe Zach Wilson can take a page out of that book. And with that being said, let's go ahead and segue over to the New York Giants. New York Giants clinched a playoff berth last week with a major win over the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, the Colts not a great team this year, but for the Giants to be able to step up and not play down to a team like the Colts, who's had some moments against some of the better teams in the league, is a big deal for them. Came out to a huge, big lead. Daniel Jones did his thing. Saquon Barkley, of course, did his thing. Richie James, one of the receivers for that core, stepping up in that game as well. So, I mean, Brian Daboll, in my opinion, after this season, has to be coach of the year. I'm not saying that as a Giants fan. I'm saying that objectively speaking, from what I've seen from him, what this team was before he got there, and what is going on around the league as well. You got a year where the LA Rams, the reigning Super Bowl champs, LA Rams, were extremely awful after coming off that Super Bowl. So let's not, let's focus on how big of a deal this is. So That's my opinion on that. There were some other things that we'll touch on in that game as well. But Kay, what are some things that you saw in that game, and anything that you feel like we've seen progress wise from the Giants from last season to this season?
Kind of just what you said, not playing down to their opponent. I think from the if you think about the first game against Tennessee, I think Brian Dable kind of came in and showed you straight from the beginning that this is going to be a different team. Things are going in a different direction. When they went for I think two, they went for two to kind of take the lead instead of I think tying the game to help them get that win down there. So I think that kind of set the tone for the rest of the season. Obviously, they fell off a little bit, had a few injuries and things like that kind of held them back. McKinney came back for that last game. So, things like that, I think just setting the tone and kind of changing the culture here. And that's kind of what we talked about over the last couple years and things like that. So I think if you think back to that moment right there, I think that set the tone for the rest of the season, even for them to fall off and bounce back. And like you said, not playing down to the competition and things like that to just show you that this is a different Giants team right now. Obviously, how far will they make it? We don't know yet, but I just think that the season was with the new GM, a new coach. It's the first season. I think Giants fans can be excited for what we may see moving forward. I think this is a big culture change, and if one thing is that Brian Dable's going to get those guys to play hard, and I think that's going to be even more next year. I think this year, and I said it a couple times, that it was like, let's see what we have. Let's see what we have this season. I think next season is, hey, y'all know how I work. Last season we were all getting to know each other. Last season we've seen what we got. Maybe he'll bring more of his guys in coming up. But now y'all know, hey, y'all know how we do things around here. So if I expect you to play super hard last year, I expect you to play 10 times harder this year, knowing that this is what we do.
Right, man. And I definitely echo your sentiments on that one as well. A lot has been made about the contracts of Daniel Jones and what they should do there. I'm kind of sticking with what I'm saying about, do we know if he's? I feel, because I know you said this about him before, so I feel like you can agree with this. Being able to reward him for what he's done this year, because he was a major piece in how they were able to do what they did this year. He stepped up when they needed him to. The turnover problem has pretty much been gone. He led the league in the least turnovers, so that's huge. But seeing what he's been able to do this year and not forgetting what the last 3 years was, I think you can say that he's earned the right to come back. And you want to give him a 2-3 year deal, 3 year deal, 75 mil. I think that's fair, and pretty much going from there. But I think, and this is coming from a guy who's definitely gave in his criticism big time throughout the years on Daniel Jones. You can say that he is possibly on his way to being the franchise guy. Remember, possibly, but I feel like you have to bring him back unless you're getting a serious upgrade. There's no reason why you shouldn't bring him back. You take Daniel Jones, this version of Daniel Jones, and put him on that Jets team. The Jets are in the postseason.
Yeah, like I said before, you're only as good as your options. So we'll see what the options look like this off season. Like you said, now unless you get a real upgrade, then maybe you bring them back. But it'll be interesting to see what they do, because are they looking at it like you said? You're not going to forget the last 3 years that he had, and obviously this new regime wasn't here. But is it hey, coaching did this, or Daniel Jones? So it'll be interesting to see how they play it, and maybe it's both of them hand in hand. Maybe it's more one than the other. But if they think, hey, maybe it's coaching, then they think, hey, maybe we can get another quarterback in here that could be coached up, just as well for a little cheaper or something like that. So all options are still on the table. Obviously, like we said, this is not their guy, but he's played really well this season. Is it a contract year where people just bowl out on contract years and we don't know what to expect like going forward and things like that? So I think there's still a lot of things the way. Was it more coaching than him? Was it? So I think there's still a lot of things the way, but I think he definitely earned the right to be brought back.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely agree with everything that you just said. Um, I think the biggest thing to remember in this is that he possibly will have, or the Giants rather will have some type of competition to retain him. But in the same sense, I don't see a reason why he would leave. I think that I personally believe it's a coaching thing because I don't know if you saw this story. Um, they were drawing up schemes during the preseason and mini camps to make Tyrod look good and to make Daniel look bad. And the whole reason why Brian Daboll drew these things up in minicamp was to see where Daniel Jones' mental toughness was, and what came out of it was that he flew with flying colors. So it seems like coaching likes him a lot. They've done a really good job at putting together schemes. Mike Kafka, specifically the offensive coordinator, putting together schemes knowing the turnover issue and just putting him in positions where he's not going to turn over the ball, but also positions where he can do some of the magical stuff you've seen, like put balls in tight pockets or put the ball exactly where his receiver needs to get it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it could be a mixture of both. It could be coaching and Daniel Jones, but it could be the coaching that helped him grow, and now he's just a better player overall. So it started off with coaching, but now this is kind of just who he is, and that's what you need sometimes as a player and stuff to help your development. So, well, it's like I said, it's gonna for the GM and ownership, it's going to be interesting to see how they play it because obviously, the way it's a negotiation, you want to try to give him the money he deserves, but you also don't want to maybe overpay him. So that's going to be an interesting part and see where the chips fall after that, and just to see where how much GM the GM is willing to pay him before they say, hey, we can find maybe more, not more, but just as servable option for a little cheaper.
Right. One last thing that I want to get into before we move away from the Giants, the Snow Angels. People are blowing this thing out of proportion, man. I take his word for it. He did not know that Foles was hurt. I know the optics look bad, but people are making him out like I saw some people talking about how he was being rated bad going into the draft process for his how he is off the field. This look, man. There's never been any bad reports on who Kayvon Thibodeau is off the field. He hasn't done anything egregious. Yes, he's a personality, but who cares when you're playing a game off the backs of these guys? You got to accept a lot of the things that come with them. As long as they're not terrible human beings, who cares? And I just like everybody's making a big deal about the Snow Angel thing and Nick Foles. Yes, Nick Foles was hurt, but I like, come on, man. I don't think he knew. Even like they're bringing up the Steph Curry silence thing. Like, come on. Like, I just think it's being blown out of proportion.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page with you there. I think if you know Thibodeau and just all that, like you said, he's a personality. I think all that's part of his personality. So I think if you really look at it, it's part of what he's shown us before. Obviously, maybe the timing of those were bad, but like you said, we don't know if he knew that Foles was hurt or whatever the case may be. So I just think it goes along with him. I think it'd be different if it was something that it's like you're acting out a character and that's not you. I think if you look at it, that's him. That's always been him. So it kind of goes along with his character.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. With you, yeah. That one was just kind of bugging me with how they were just blowing it out of proportion. But hey, Lamar Jackson has just been ruled out for the final game of the season, which would make a month since we've last seen him play or practice. Still dealing with that PCL injury in his knee. They said his knee is still swollen, which is kind of wild to hear. But to me, this is news. This is news. This is on a year where Lamar Jackson did not sign a contract extension. So he was going into this with no guaranteed money at all. And he said he was going to take the bet on himself, but the whole knock was don't get on that field without getting your money. Now, I think that the Ravens are smart. Lamar Jackson is the Ravens organization. so they're not just going to let him walk. I think they'll end up franchise tagging him. But on Lamar's side, it stinks to see because he obviously bet on himself, and for a guy like myself and a lot of other people, I feel like we were rooting for him because of the things he's done, and even kind of the dealing with a lot of the doubters around the league and things like that. But it's tough to see, and it's also news because now with this situation that just happened Monday night with Cincinnati and Buffalo, the Baltimore Ravens have a chance to obtain the first seed in the AFC. No Lamar, I don't think that happens. The game is a divisional game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And, Cincinnati has just been on one for, more than the second half of the season. I know they started off tough, but they quickly fixed it. And I just think you need Lamar Jackson. You don't have any big playmakers on that field. I know you got J.K. Dobbins, but that receiving core is not strong. And Tyler Huntley's been serviceable for them relative to being a backup quarterback. But if you want to be able to not only win the division, but get that first seed, you need a Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was playing well before he had got hurt. So I think, like you said, I don't think the Ravens. I don't think it hurts him a little bit on the negotiation table. People talk about injuries and things like that, but I think he was playing well before this happened. So I think he still has a leg to stand on, and like you said, he is like the Ravens organization right now. So I'm sure they'll be able to work out whatever situation they got going on there, and if they don't, someone else will pay him that money. We talked about the Giants and who the best, you only as good as your options. So someone will pay him that money, and then like you said, I don't obviously I don't know how far they can get without him. This is I don't know how good this looks going forward. Will he be ready for the playoffs? Will he not be? Hopefully, you think this extra few weeks or so, or extra week, will help him be ready for the playoffs. But if he is gonna be out, I think this game will be big because they can get home court advantage. That would be great for them, especially without him in the playoffs. But even still, I don't know how far they can make him. But if they expect him to be out longer than maybe their first round playoff game or whatever the case may be, they should go for this one seed because their home court advantage will probably definitely help them going forward, especially without him.
But they said that he's expecting to come back for the playoffs. But I think if you have a guy that missed that much time, that makes it even more valuable to get that one seed because he's first coming back. I'm not trying. My first game back should not be on the road. If I'm gone for that much amount of time. That's the other thing that really scares me about this too, because obviously he's got the talent to propel them along with J.K. Dobbins, and they have a really good defense, but he's got to get back into a groove. He's been out that long, and it's very tough to do that on the road. So that one's going to be very tough to see. Hopefully he's able to overcome it, but we'll definitely wait and monitor that thing once it comes to fruition. But we'll see what happens. I mean, Tyler Huntley's been good. Obviously, they just lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he's good to where he's at. No disrespect. The other thing in the NFL to get to, Green Bay and the Detroit Lions vying to get into the postseason as that second team out of the NFC North. Green Bay, after what looked like was going to be a tumultuous season, have somehow found their way back to get in. Look, I know Detroit has been playing lights out. Dan Campbell's done an amazing job with them this year, and he's definitely got a big coaching future ahead of him. I look forward to seeing a lot of what Detroit's going to do next season, but I am not betting against that man. I am not betting against that man from the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I excuse me. I agree with you. We remember that one year when he was like, "Oh, we're gonna win out and get in." I don't know if we talked about it on him before. I feel like we did. It'd have been weird not seeing them in the playoffs anyway. So I think that this is a big game, and I think he usually shows up in big games. So I definitely wouldn't want to I wouldn't bet against him, and we'll just see how how things go from here. But we talked about the Packers and kind of everything going on with them. So and like we're Giants fans, so we know you just got to get in, and then anything can happen. So I think they'll definitely, not definitely, but I think they have a good chance of getting in, especially when you have Aaron Rodgers. Even with
Yeah, hundred
everything that
percent. And then
happened
even
within the
what
season.
Yeah, 100%. And even towards the end of the season, what's been able to develop for them, Christian Watson's kind of turned into their new number one with no Devontae Adams. And, you talk a lot about the running backs that they have over there. I just think that they can do something. They can do something. So don't cut them out. Other thing, before we go ahead and move into the NBA, I don't know about you. I completely wrote off Tom Brady. Somehow, obviously, that division is atrocious, but he was able to overcome, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have also found themselves in the playoffs. So there's a chance that they might face the Dallas Cowboys first round, but nonetheless, I guess Tom Brady still has not fallen off a cliff.
Uh, yeah, we'll see how the playoffs go. Obviously, it's good that they got in, and let's see where they can kind of take it from here. Like I was just saying, sometimes you just need to get in. Doesn't matter how you get in, and if they do end up against Dallas, Dallas is known for blowing things, and that seems like a game that I definitely see a lot of people picking Tom Brady and the Buccaneers to win. It'd be interesting. I don't even know if we should talk about this guy right now, but it'd be interesting to see who Skip picks going with Tom Brady and his Dallas Cowboys. So that'd be interesting. But yeah,
Uh,
what were you about to say?
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say yeah, it's good, that they got in. I wouldn't. Let's see how the playoffs go for them, and then we'll talk about maybe him falling off a cliff or not.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I agree with you. We don't need to talk about that one, that character, but um, yeah, I guess we'll see. I'm gonna go full Stephen A. Smith and say what can go wrong will go wrong, and that, along with playing against the most accomplished quarterback of all time, is a recipe for disaster on the Dallas Cowboys side, which is something.
Right. Do
Let's go ahead
what
and
who
go ahead. Go
what's
ahead.
who I think the Giants are locked into the 6th seed, right? They can't move up or
Locked
down.
into the sixth seed. Depending on how this week goes, the Giants would face the Minnesota Vikings. If the Vikings are able to win their next game, if not, there's a possibility they could play the San Francisco 49ers. As a Giants fan, I want to play the Vikings. We nearly beat them, if not for a record-setting field goal, which always happens to the Giants. And we should be close to, if not fully healthy in that game. I think I'll take my chances with the Giants, especially with the way that they're trending. I feel like there's a little aura around the Giants, right? Now, I'm not saying the Giants will go and win the Super Bowl, even though I saw some crazy betting odds out there that now they're starting to shoot up in the odds to win the Super Bowl, which I don't agree with. But hey, whatever. But they when they get in, things happen, and what a moment it would be with the way that this team is trending.
Yeah, definitely. Like we said, all you need to do is get in and see where things can go from there. Let's see if people have compared Jones to Eli a lot. Let's see if he can pull an Eli trick out of his hat and see how it goes.
For sure, yeah. Well, it would be. You know what? We talked about how he had to play for a contract this year, but if he balls out in the playoffs, if Daniel Jones balls out in the playoffs, this is New York. If Daniel Jones balls out in the playoffs, he's gonna make a strong case to command some more money.
Right. I was gonna say that. That's the price starts to go up after that. So, we'll see how it goes. I hope him the best, and obviously for us as Giants fans, that'd be great for us. It's good that he's gonna get his money, but then it'd be good that the Giants are winning. So win-win if this does happen. Hopefully, in these next 2 weeks or so, he's picking Eli's brain, and because I know Eli's still around that office and stuff, and trying to learn as much as he can because, like I said, he's gonna have to pull an Eli trick out of his hat.
100%. Let's go ahead and move over to the NBA now. The Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are still making it happen, still doing their thing. I believe they won their last 17 of 19 to shoot up very near the top of the East. And you're Joe Tsai, like I said last time we talked about it, finally getting a return on the investment with KD and Kyrie Irving. You got a young budding superstar over there, Ben Simmons, and a just well-rounded team. And I just can't say enough. I saw a video the other day where Jock Vaughn was drawing up a play for KD to try and hit a game winner. KD tells Vaughn, run it for Kyrie. He says it's going to work, and then he hits the game winner against the Toronto Raptors. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was. I think before that clip had came out, KD had went in the press conference and said that he knew that he was going to be double teamed, so it's easier for Kyrie to get it. He can get his 1-on-1. And I was talking to someone the other day before this whole thing had happened, and then I was talking about how every time I see them play the Celtics, they know the double team's coming and they're trying to play out of that double team too much, but then you're not running your offense too much. I was saying I think you give the ball to Kyrie because he is your second superstar, and this is what you have a second superstar for. And then run some offense. You can try to get the ball back to KD, but if not, Kyrie is a superstar for a reason, or star, or however you want to call it. He can get a bucket. The bottom of the line, he can go get you a bucket. So you don't have to keep playing out of the double team. And then the person kept telling me, hey, well, maybe it's the team's just not hitting shots because the person's getting doubled. And I'm like, sometimes it just kind of messes up your offense. So I was like, if that was me, I would give the ball to Kyrie a little more because he's not getting doubled, and then he can play that one-on-one thing. And that's kind of like what happened in that situation. KD seen that exact same thing and said, hey, I'm getting doubled. Let Kyrie go play one-on-one. He can create a shot. And it's just a good clip to see. Obviously, they've been playing well. Things like that. They've been playing defense a lot better. Obviously, with Ben and Royce O'Neal, and Claxton deserves a lot of credit because he's been playing big. I think he had like 6 block shots last night. So things are coming together for them. I think they play the Celtics again at home on Tuesday. And I think the winner of that,
I'll be glued to that.
the way things are working right now, the winner of that will take the 1 seed in the East. And I think that'd be just a big matchup for the Nets to see if they're really ready to get over that hump. I think if you think about, they lost to who they lose to the other day? They lost to the Bulls, but before they lost to the Bulls, their last loss was against the Celtics. So and that was before they went on this run. Now they're on this run, they're playing better, but this is still like that one hurdle we don't know if they can get over yet. And the 1 seed in the East is on the line. Still a lot of season left, but that's going to be a big game on Tuesday to let us know if this is really real. I mean, they had some big wins during the run. They beat the Bucks, they beat the Cavs, but the Celtics seems to be that one team that's like in their way right now. So Tuesday should be big.
Yeah, it's that budding rivalry that we kind of been seeing the last 3 years, which really developed more last year with the first round playoff game. But it's definitely is this real or is this not moment, or it just could be that Brooklyn cannot get past Boston no matter what they do. And obviously Boston is that young team, that up and coming team. They finally got over the hump to get to the NBA Finals, and they're hungry. Jaylen Brown is hungry. Jason Tatum is hungry. Those guys have something to prove. It's like you finally get to the water, but you finally get to the top of the mountaintop, but you just can't get to that final point. So obviously that's going to have big implications on that too. And if you are an NBA fan, that's the game that you need to be glued to. That is the game that you need to be glued to. I like what you said about KD saying, let's just let Kyrie get a shot. He can get his own shot off. This should be kind of their formula. I can't believe it wasn't their formula for the last. Well, I mean, no disrespect to Steve Nash, but he was their coach. But it should have been their formula since putting it together. I mean, these guys have said it in interviews in the past. I know I have a guy next to me that can take that shot. Like there's not too many people that you're like, I'm taking him one-on-one every time to get his shot off. Who else would you not? Who else would you want in that position other than Kyrie Irving? That's like the perfect person to have in that position.
Right, definitely, because he's going to be able to play one-on-one a lot more than KD. Teams are not trying to let KD play one-on-one. So if you gotta let Kyrie take it, and that allows Kyrie to play 1-on-one some more and let y'all run a little more offense. KD gets the ball, they're sending doubles. You're not really running offense. You're playing out of the double. So we'll see how it goes. I think they're last time they played the Celtics. There's one thing Ben Simmons didn't play in that game. I think he should be big for them
It's
if
gonna
he
be
can
big.
stay. If he can stay out of foul trouble, he's the person you will probably guard Tatum, who's Tatum's given him a lot of problems. Shout out to KD, he's been trying, but Tatum is just a younger player at this point. KD's coming, well, not coming off of it, but KD did tear his Achilles. So he's just a younger, more like player that I can see why he kind of gives KD some issues. Last year they were a little small. Bruce Brown was like their best defender, and he's like 6'3". And now you got Royce O'Neal. I think Jaylen Brown has given them issues. I always seen that like they didn't really have an answer for Jaylen Brown. I think with Royce O'Neal now, you have two defenders to put on their best players. You have Claxton back there. That frees up KD from playing as much defense to let him worry about offense, where they're doubling him and doing all these type of crazy things to him. Kyrie has been playing better, so we should see how it'll go for them. I think they match up a little better with them in this matchup coming on Tuesday, saying that everybody plays, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely the game that you guys need to be glued to for that one. So many
And
storylines going on.
the last thing, the Celtics haven't been playing as well. They started the season off super hot. They've came back
True.
down to earth a little bit. They we saw what happened in OKC where they just got blown off the court. They're still playing well. I think they bounced back and won their next game pretty good. I think it was the Nuggets. So they kind of been up and down recently. The Nets are kind of hot. So Tuesday, like you said, and the NBA fans should be ready to tune into that one. Should be a good one.
100%. Another team that's been able to kind of step up after this Christmas break that definitely had a tougher start was the Miami Heat. Got a big win the other night against the Los Angeles Clippers. That one did almost slip away from them, though. And then they also dominated the Phoenix Suns, who obviously are still without Devin Booker, but definitely a big win for the Miami Heat as well. They've kind of been letting these guys play a little more. Spoelstra's kind of been letting these guys play a little more freely, running offenses a little bit differently. Bam Adebayo is having seems to be a career year, and then another big thing is Victor Oladipo is back. He's finally back from his last injury, and he's looking like somewhat of a resemblance to the Indiana Pacers Victor Oladipo we got before that last injury that he suffered with his knee. So if you can get any form of that, along with Jimmy Butler, along with Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, you can this can go a long way as long as these guys are playing to the potential that Miami Heat basketball.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting for them because I think obviously Tyler Hero's been starting more this year. And like you said, they've gotten things rolling, but I think that has been like a maybe a issue for them. I don't know, like issue something they need to figure out. I think obviously with him getting his money, maybe that was something he negotiated there. And I know there's been reports of him complaining that he was finally ready to start, but maybe the offense or the team was running better with him coming off the bench. But they're starting to get things together, like you said. So you see how it goes for them. They got a lot of way to climb to get back up in the East. But we just seen what happened with the Nets. Anyone can go on a run kinda and kind of work their way back up. Jimmy Butler has missed some time. I think he's getting healthy. And like you said, Bam is playing kind of out of his mind right now. I think I've seen on Twitter today over the last 3 games he's averaging like 31, 11 rebounds, couple blocks. So he's playing
Yep.
really well. Obviously, they did lose to the Lakers the other day, but without LeBron, but they came back, beat the Clippers. Phoenix, Chris Paul kind of went out early in that game, but still a tough team even without Devin Booker. So yeah, they come home to play the Nets tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes for them, both teams. And yeah, I think everyone getting healthy. I think Tyler Hero was out last game. We'll see if he's back for tomorrow, and see how things go for him.
For sure, 100%. You talked about the Lakers. The Lakers have slowly started to play themselves back into that play-in position with things kind of just clicking more for them all on offense. The news that recently came out was something that me and our guy Mike McCoy, Mike on the mic, have been saying since last offseason. The Lakers are bringing in DeMarcus Boogie Cousins for a workout. I think that is tremendous. They should sign him, need to sign him. It didn't work out the first time that they had him, but I feel like it can work out now. You need a body back there that can kind of compensate for losing Anthony Davis while he's still working his way back from his injury. DeMarcus Cousins can do that for you. They've got some good players in their front court, but you need somebody that can kind of somewhat carry that load that you're missing without Anthony Davis there. And I still think DeMarcus Cousins is that guy. And then when Anthony Davis comes back, it makes them a better team with those two playing together. Maybe we'll get to see some of that Twin Towers magic we were seeing a little bit of when they were in New Orleans.
Yeah, definitely. I think Thomas Bryant has played well since AD's been down, and he deserves a lot of credit. And I think I said this on here before. I don't think the Lakers have really shaped the roster well enough that when AD goes down, that they would be all right. I don't think they know he. No offense to him, he gets hurt a lot. I don't think they ever got like a player that can kind of come fill in. Like you said, DeMarcus Cousins, I think last time you saw him, he's with the Nuggets. He was playing well. He played well in that playoff series. So he still has a little in the tank. Obviously, he's probably not that same guy he was before. But if he can even give you half of that, he brings you a lot of the same things that AD brought you. He's a little bigger body. He can bang down there a little more. So you add him to help you space the floor with Bron. And like you said, even when AD comes back, they've played together. They know how to play together. They can both space the floor. So if he's healthy and he can go, I think it's a great pickup for them. And like I said, even if he gives you like what he was giving you on the Nuggets, he's coming off the bench, being a big body, playing hard, spacing the floor, different things like that. It'll help the team, especially while AD's still out right now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Bron's coming out doing these interviews about, kind of what it seems like throwing a little bit of subs of, breaking these records doesn't mean anything to me if we're not winning. And, this is definitely a move. I even heard allegedly LeBron's kind of pushed for this move. So this is definitely a move that you feel like can go hand to hand with what he's looking for if they're willing to make it.
Right. Yeah, we'll see what AD still has in the tank. Like I said, Thomas Bryant has given some good minutes, but obviously a healthy, motivated Boogie Cousins is probably better than Thomas Bryant. But he still deserves a lot of credit. Let's kind of see. Obviously, Boogie has to come in. He's been out all season, get back into shape and things like that. But a solid pickup for them if they can get it done. And he was with the Lakers before, I think.
Yeah, the first stint that he, it didn't, like I said, it didn't really work out for them, that first stint, but it's definitely a move I feel like can benefit them at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, they need to get somebody in there that can help when AD kind of goes down.
For sure. I think that'll do it for topics for today, unless you got anything to add, Kay.
I got a quick little fun one. We're gonna do New Year's resolutions for some teams. On the
NBA?
spot. Yeah. Do you want to do NFL too? NFL
Yeah,
season.
we can do NFL. We can do NFL.
All right. Well, I guess we'll pick a couple teams from both. We'll start in NBA. You brought up the Heat. You said they're getting better. What would be the Heat's New Year resolution?
Find yourself a starting point guard. I love, I love what they have there right now, but you need yourself a legit guy. Like not being able to sign John Wall, I feel like hurts. The other thing is, I think you just need somebody that's going to be better equipped to run the offense that they're trying to run. You find that, which a lot of teams have definitely missed. So I think find yourself a starting point guard.
You're not on the Kyle Lowry train anymore?
I like Kyle Lowry, but I mean, what are we going to get from him? He's very inconsistent. Some days we get Toronto Kyle Lowry, but I feel like a lot more we don't get that. I never agreed with them signing Kyle Lowry to begin with. I like Kyle Lowry as a player, but look at where he is in his age. Like I just never agreed with that, especially for the money that they paid him. It didn't make sense to me.
Right. Let's go to the Knicks. The Knicks have been playing well in the playoffs. If you're the Knicks, what is your New Year's resolution?
I don't know. I don't know. It seems like they've done it. You signed Jalen Brunson. Talk about not agreeing with some signings. Not that I didn't agree with signing Jalen Brunson. A lot of people have said with Jalen Brunson, this is the best point guard play that they've had in probably since Jason Kidd. They have not had strong point guard play up until that point. I just don't think that you paid him superstar money. He's not that type of player. So for the Knicks, I saw a rumor that I don't know. I don't know if I want to go here because my biggest knock on the Knicks is they're star hunting all the time instead of trying to find a guy to develop. So I saw a rumor that said that they're monitoring the Zach LaVine situation in Chicago, which I'm sure Mike loves. And if should that turn into something that they're going to target Zach LaVine for a trade? To that, I kind of you're going to have to give up crazy pieces to get him. You're gonna have to give up an RJ Barrett. You might have to give up a Mitchell Robinson, an Obi Toppin. Is that something that you're willing to do? Does that move you forward? So I'm gonna say they need to find a star player, but I'm just gonna say I feel like I'm very halfway with it.
All right, all right. I see what you're saying there because they need to. I feel like they got the pieces, but they don't have that star. Obviously, you're trying to develop R.J. Barrett into that, but I see what you're saying there. Let's we're gonna keep it in New York and go right to the Nets. The Nets are trying to finally get that championship with the team together. What is their New Year's resolution to finally get it done this year?
Get a center. You need to get a bigger body back up front. I love Nick Claxton, but he's just not giving you what you're gonna need. If you wanna go full in on trying to win this championship, you need to get a big man, a legit big man.
We talking in the post or just a little bigger body for
In the
rebounds?
post. In the post.
Okay, we're gonna stay in New York, but we're gonna go over to the NFL. What the Jets? We just talked about them. They obviously trying to turn this thing around. They were at one point maybe close to getting in the playoffs or in that direction. They were winning. What do they have to do? What's their New Year's resolution to finally get over that hump and get back in the playoffs?
Two things. Sign a veteran, a legit veteran quarterback, somebody that's going to make Zach Wilson sweat. Obviously, Mike White has taken his job before, but we know who Mike White is. You don't believe in Mike White as a franchise quarterback. If you can bring somebody in who's kind of a journeyman backup, been a starting quarterback, a legit starting quarterback in this league before, that can keep Zach Wilson on his toes, do it. And then one other thing, you might need to find a new offensive coordinator. I've talked a lot about the development of Zach Wilson and trying to get him to see the field better and things like that. Mike LaFleur, I feel like has not been able to do that there. So find an offensive coordinator that you think is well equipped to develop Zach Wilson going into year 3.
All right, now we're gonna move over to the Giants. What obviously back in the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Maybe a little closer than people thought before the year started. They're obviously trying to build on what they got. What is their New Year's resolution?
Couple things. So we all know that even through all the winning, this is still a flawed team. They're still lacking in a lot of different areas of the game on both sides of the ball. So we got to go a couple things as far as what their New Year's resolution is. Number one, find a playmaker at wide receiver. Are you able to sign an Odell Beckham Jr. in this offseason, or are you able to draft a guy that is going to be a true number one right out the gate? So number one, find a playmaker. Number two, fix up that secondary. Can we talk about getting a playmaker at wide receiver? Can you get a playmaker in the secondary? We love Adoree Jackson. There's a lot of other good guys over there. Darnay Holmes is very good. But can you get a cornerback that is going to help elevate that secondary for you and know that you can go to him when you're playing against some of the better receivers in the league? And then lastly, shore up the shore up the offensive line is another one. Always need protection. Lastly, get the deals done with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley.
Okay, and the last one, we're going to go up north. The Buffalo Bills, they've been close. couldn't take down the Chiefs a couple times. Maybe 13 seconds stopped them from making it a little further. What do the Bills have to do to finally get over that hump and get to the Super Bowl and possibly win the Super Bowl this year?
Unfortunately, they've got with Darnay Holmes down, a guy that's developed himself into more of a starting safety in this league, a guy you can trust in this league, especially with the way he was able to do it. Find a way to shore up that who's your safety going to be with him out indefinitely, and then just get it done. There's nothing else we can say. You've got the quarterback, you've got the number one wide receiver, you've got an amazing offense, and you've got a really good defense. Get it done. I mean, I know Von Miller's out. I know you got some other guys, some other important guys that are out. But at the end of the day, especially with where they're at now, it's up to you. You got to get it done. You got to get over that hump. Maybe they'll be able to do it if they're playing in a neutral zone. Maybe that might help, especially if it's Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes has yet to play an away game. So maybe that'll help, but we'll see. They just got to get over that hump.
All right, Rich, we appreciate. That's all I got.
Appreciate it for sure, Kay. Thanks again for being on as always, and thank you guys for listening. With that being said, obviously amazing show. We've got Tennessee Titans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars to get into the playoffs coming up. And then, like Kay said, tune in for the NBA on that Tuesday game. But other than that, it's Rich, it's Kay signing off, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.